Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're digging into a company called Bert Energy. We've got some excerpts from their website here. And our mission really is to get a handle on their approach. It seems quite unique to, well, transforming agricultural waste. We want to look at their tech and how they actually bring it to market.
Yeah, it looks like a really interesting slice of innovation, in that renewable energy and waste management space.
Definitely. What seems to jump out right away is how they focus on something so common, agricultural waste, slurry, manure, which can often be a bit of a headache, frankly.
Absolutely. And they've built this whole system around making it, valuable.
Yeah.
Taking a problem and turning it into a resource.
Okay, let's unpack that core mission then. The material highlights taking this source of, and they call it free fuel.
Right, the slurry and manure.
And using it to, one, get energy, two, really cut down the odor, which is a big deal on farms, and three, create a useful bio-fertilizer.
Exactly. And the heart of it all, the thing they really push is what they term slurry-only biogas plants.
Slurry only. So what does that mean specifically?
It's their niche. They stress that they work only with the slurry and manures from typical farm animals, cattle, pigs, chickens, even horses.
Okay.
And the key thing, which the source makes a point of mentioning, is they do this without adding energy crops. So no corn silage, no root crops, none of that stuff you sometimes see mixed in with other biogas systems.
Got it. So it's purely about leveraging the animal waste that's, already there.
Precisely.
Yeah.
100% focused on that existing stream.
And the name for these specific farm-sized units is Bert.
Yep, Bert used to be the product family name for these plants.
Now, something else the source material does is frame this slurry issue, not just farm by farm, but as a, quote, global issue.
That's an interesting framing, isn't it? Why global?
Yeah, how do they justify that?
Well, the material connects the dots. Think about it. Slurry exists pretty much wherever you find livestock farming, which is everywhere.
Right, all over the world.
And the need for energy, that's obviously universal too. So you've got this widely available raw material, this free fuel, combined with a fundamental global need. That's what makes their concept inherently international, they argue.
Okay, so it's not geographically limited in the way, say, solar or certain crops might be.
Exactly. It sidesteps some of those limitations.
Now let's talk technology. They describe it as unique.
They do. These Bert slurry only AD plants, AD being anaerobic digestion, the core process.
Right, the biological breakdown.
Yes. The source says these plants use, and this is a direct quote, the power of nature to mix the substrates inside the digester. The substrates being the slurry and manure, of course.
The power of nature for mixing. That's quite evocative. Does the material explain how that works? Like the actual mechanics?
It doesn't really drill down into the technical how beyond that phrase. The excerpts we have focus more on the results.
Which are?
Producing energy and producing a fine fertilizer. It does mention these slurry-only plants have lots of advantages, hinting that this unique mixing tech is probably part of why, but without laying out the engineering detail.
Okay, so the focus is more on the what it achieves rather than the how it works in this particular source material.
Seems that way, yes. More outcome-oriented.
So you have this tech claimed to be unique, targeting a specific waste stream that's a global issue. How do they scale this? How do they get it out there? The info points squarely at their business model, the franchise partner system.
That's their route to global reach. Bert Energy GmbH, the main company, acts as the franchiser. They hold the patents, the rights to the Bert system, and the tech.
Okay.
And the source is clear on this. Bert Energy GmbH itself does not build the plants.
Ah, interesting. So who does?
They work with these global franchise partners. It's the partners on the ground locally who are responsible for the actual construction of the Bert systems in their specific regions.
That makes a lot of sense for scaling internationally. It avoids the mothership having to manage construction everywhere.
Exactly. Decentralized execution, centralized IP.
And this model isn't brand new for them. The source says they started the business and this franchise system around 2010.
That's right. Kicked off in Germany initially, then branched out into the first international markets. But the material definitely suggests that today, the big focus, the real growth potential, is seen in the global market.
And they even mention potential financial support.
Yeah, they note that depending on the country, there might be investment support available for these kinds of farm-sized biogas plants. They frame it as an opportunity, for someone thinking about becoming a franchise partner.
Sort of lowering the barrier to entry for potential partners?
It lays out a clearer path, yeah.
So how has this model actually performed? What kind of scale have they reached? The numbers in the source are pretty specific.
They are. It states 140 biogas plants built
Okay.
across 42 countries in total.
Wow, 42 countries is wide reach.
And that's been done by 125 different franchise partners. Plus, the material mentions they have 20 years of experience. We should take that number as presented in the source.
140 plants, 125 partners, 42 countries. That's not insignificant, especially for such a niche, the slurry-only thing.
No, it shows real traction. It suggests the model works for this kind of specialized tech.
Yeah.
And they clearly see more room to grow. They mention identifying over 240,000 cattle farmers just within the EU who fit their product profile.
240,000 in the EU alone.
And they also explicitly state there's a huge market waiting in the pig farming sector too. So they see a large untapped potential.
So it's not just theory, they have a footprint and they see a big road ahead. What about recent activity? The source gives us some updates from late 2023.
Yeah, quite a busy end to that year, it seems. In December 2023, they became part of an EU-funded project called Next 2 Digits.
Okay.
In November, they secured an Indian patent for their Bert Mobil biogas plant. That's obviously a big step for the Indian market.
Huge market, yeah.
And then back in September 2023, they established a second Bert Mobil factory, this one in the EU, specifically aimed at mass production.
Mass production suggests they're gearing up for higher volumes.
Seems likely. And there's also a general mention that Bert has received international awards and recognitions, kind of adding to their credibility.
Okay, so pulling all this together from the source material, what's the key takeaway for you, the listener? Why is this relevant?
Well, I think it's a really clear case study, isn't it? You have this very common, often problematic thing, agricultural slurry. And this company has developed a focused technological fix, not trying to boil the ocean, but targeting that specific niche. And the fix delivers multiple wins: energy, better waste handling, less odor, valuable fertilizer.
Right, multiple benefits from one process.
Exactly. And then, critically, the way they chose to scale it, this franchise model detailed in the material, allowed them to take that niche tech and build a pretty significant international presence. It wasn't just pilot project.
So it demonstrates how you can tackle a global issue with a specific solution and a smart business model.
Precisely. It shows how focused innovation, combined with the right kind of distribution or partnership model, can actually build a substantial operation addressing real-world problems like waste and energy.
Okay, so to quickly recap this deep dive based on the Bert Energy website excerpts, we've seen their strong focus on the slurry-only approach for biogas.
Yeah, very specific there.
Mention of a unique technology involving the power of nature for mixing, though not detailed.
Right, more outcome-focused in the description.
And this global expansion strategy driven entirely by local franchise partners who do the building.
That's the core structure. I mean, here's something to think about. Building just on what the sources gave us. You look at those numbers: 140 plants, 125 partners, 42 countries, stated 20 years experience. Considering this specific franchise model for a niche slurry-only technology, what potential does that really represent for scaling up solutions to waste and energy needs globally? And maybe what questions does that kind of distributed partner-led scale-up raise about actually implementing it consistently and measuring the impact across so many different contexts worldwide?